All right, sports fans, how's everybody out there doing? William Martin coming at you one more time here on YouTube with another edition of the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge Podcast. It is that time of the week, folks. My weekly picks in the world of the National Football League and Conference Championship Sunday is upon us as four teams are left with two slots obviously in the Super Bowl. So we're going to wait and see who's going to get those slots. Of course, the AFC Championship game is first. There's plenty of intrigue in that one, as well as the NFC Championship game tomorrow night. So who's going to take home the Lamar S. Hunt Trophy as champions of the AFC? And who is going to take home the George Hallis Trophy as champions of the NFC? Now, in the AFC Championship game tomorrow, you are going to have the upstart Cincinnati Bengals clashing with the Kansas City Chiefs. And for Cincinnati, not a lot of people, hardly anybody, gave this team a chance to be where they are at right now. 60 football minutes away from reaching the Super Bowl for the third time in franchise history. You look at the Bengals and this team, they have persevered this season because nobody really expected them to be at this point. Nobody expected them to win the AFC North, but they did it. And on top of that, they exercised some demons. They won a playoff game for the first time since the 1990 NFL season. And then on top of that, this team is rolling right now. They're believing in themselves. But this matchup against the Chiefs is going to be a little bit different. First and foremost, this is going to be the best quarterback that this Bengals defense has seen so far in these playoffs. We saw Cincinnati get past the Raiders in the first round, and then we saw them get past the Titans last Saturday, and it was really their defense as they intercepted quarterback Ryan Tannehill three times. But this time around, Patrick Mahomes is a different beast. And I say that because obviously we all know that Patrick Mahomes is one of the better quarterbacks in the NFL. And he and the Chiefs are hopeful to get to the Super Bowl for a third consecutive year. And only a handful of teams have been able to do that. You think about the Buffalo Bills in the 90s, the Miami Dolphins in the early 70s, and then the New England Patriots several years ago. So it's not something that is easy to be done. And if you're this Bengals defense, it's one of those where you have to limit Mahomes' opportunities. And this Bengals team did beat Kansas City a couple of weeks ago towards the end of the regular season. And of course, Mahomes had his opportunities to make big plays in that one for this offense. So, with that said, the onus is going to be on this Cincinnati pass rush as far as being able to try to not only contain Mahomes, frustrate him, slow him down, and throw this Chiefs offense out of sync, which is easier said than done because obviously last Sunday showed that Kansas City and Mahomes don't really need that much time in order to go out there and score some points. So I think the onus is going to be right there. Also, for Cincinnati, the onus is going to be on their offense and quarterback Joe Burrow. And a lot of people are calling him Joe Cool in reference to former San Francisco 49ers quarterback Joe Montana, because you look at Joe Burrow back there in the pocket. He's calm, cool, collected. He has all the poise, and also he has plenty of moxie out there when he's playing quarterback. And Joe Burrow has to be confident, and he will be confident when he takes the field tomorrow at Arrowhead, due to the fact that he beat these Chiefs a couple of weeks ago. And on top of that, he really picked this Chiefs secondary apart. And it wasn't just Joe Burrow; it was also wide receiver Jamar Chase. And the Achilles heel for this Kansas City team as a whole has been the defensive play, most notably their secondary. And we saw that last Sunday against the Buffalo Bills as they got picked apart. And you look at Joe Burrow in this one, we saw what Jamar Chase did. And I think this combo could be in for another big contest against this Chiefs defense. But I think one thing that Cincinnati is going to need to do, they're going to need to run the football, because when you run the football it's not only slows down the game, but it also keeps Patrick Mahomes on the sideline. Patrick Mahomes can't beat you if he has a parka on and he has an iPad in his hands looking at the defensive schemes and the upcoming offensive plays for Kansas City. He can't beat you in that sense. So, with that said, I think time of possession is also important for Cincinnati in this one. You look at it, Andy Reid versus Zach Taylor. Obviously, the experience goes with Andy Reid. Overall, the experience goes with this Chiefs team. I said it last Saturday that this Bengals team is playing with house money. They're not going to be phased by going in an Arrowhead. Also, as a whole, this team is not going to be phased by playing the Chiefs because they know that they beat them a couple of weeks ago. And I know that some people are writing off the Bengals right away, saying, Kansas City is a 7 point favorite in this contest. I look at it like this: Cincinnati has never lost the AFC Championship game. Granted, the first two times it was at Riverfront Stadium, but I'm going to roll with the Bengals in this one. And I'm going to take Cincinnati by the score of 31-30. Now, in the NFC Championship game, very intriguing right here because the winner of this game will theoretically, not theoretically, they will play two consecutive games at SoFi Stadium, as this venue is set to host Super Bowl number 56 in 2 weeks. You're going to have the San Francisco 49ers getting it on with the Los Angeles Rams. And this is another chapter in the San Francisco Los Angeles rivalry. And of course, it extends beyond football because you think about the rivalry on the baseball diamond with the Dodgers and the Giants. And of course, those two long and storied rivals met last October in the postseason for the first time in the series history. And of course, it was the Dodgers who got the best of the Giants in 5 games. This time around, it's the Rams and the 49ers. They do have previous playoff history. You got to go back to the 1989 NFC Championship game at Candlestick Park, where the 49ers dominated the Rams 30-3 en route to repeating as Super Bowl champions. This time around, it's a little bit different. The Rams are favored to win this contest, but their Achilles heel over the past couple of seasons has been the San Francisco 49ers. San Francisco has won the last 6 contests against the Rams, which includes sweeping them this year. And the Rams definitely have the star appeal in this game on both sides of the football. But one thing that has caused them problems with the 49ers is the fact that the 49ers are more physical than the Los Angeles Rams in the trenches on both sides of the football. I know that the Rams have talent on defense, but the 49ers know how to run the football right down their throat. They have arguably the best offensive line in football. They lean on you. And one thing that is notable for these 49ers, they do not go away from the run game. They stick with it. And that is very important because those 2 or 3 yard runs in the first quarter will turn to 5 yard runs in the third quarter, and then they really begin to gash you in the fourth quarter when their opponent is running out of gas. On the flip side, the Niners have a phenomenal pass rush, and we've seen that in the first 2 games of the playoffs as they beat the Dallas Cowboys and Green Bay Packers. They know how to get after you, and that has been something that has caused the Rams issues all season long. Also, it's caused quarterback Matthew Stafford issues all season long. In 2 playoff games so far, Matthew Stafford has not thrown an interception, but in 2 games this season versus the 49ers, he is combined to throw 4. So it's going to be interesting to see which Matthew Stafford are we going to get in this ball game. Also, speaking of quarterbacks, Jimmy Garoppolo. This guy, it's not pretty with what Gigolo Jimmy G does out there on the field. But the bottom line is he wins games. And it's not just obviously it's about Jimmy G because the Niners play stout defense and they also run the ball. And I think it's going to be important for him to utilize the people around him. You look at the way that San Francisco can run the football effectively with Debo Samuel and Elijah Mitchell. And of course, Debo's the X factor. But I will say this: if this Rams defense does attempt to key on Debo, you have to worry about Elijah Mitchell and then tight end George Kittle because he keeps the safeties honest in regards to 49er opponents. Now, for the Rams, I think they want to try to run the football. They have to try to run the football in order to stay out of second and third long situations, because in doing so, you're playing right in to what the 49ers do, which is rush the passer. And if you look at some of the interceptions that Stafford has thrown this season when the Rams have played the Niners, it's because of the pressure that has been created by their front four. We saw the stars for the Rams step up last week and make big plays. We saw Aaron Donald make big plays. We saw Von Miller make big plays. We saw Odell Beckham, Cooper Cup, and Matthew Stafford make big plays. And that's going to be imperative in this one because Cooper Cup arguably is the best wide receiver in the NFL right now. He showed that last week as the Rams got past the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. But if the Niners were to try to find a way to slow him down, you still got OBJ on the other side. I look at this right here. It's a classic battle between flash and finesse. The Rams have the flash, while pardon me, the flash and finesse versus power. And the Rams have the flash and finesse, while the 49ers have the power. Which will is going to win out? We'll have to wait and see. But nonetheless, I think it's going to be a back and forth affair. I think the turnover battle and field position are going to be imperative in this one. And also, I think for the 49ers, what you want to do is when you get the football, don't settle for field goals. You have to score points. Because if you look in the Niners' first two games of these playoffs, they were able to survive two bad throws by Jimmy Garoppolo that resulted in interceptions for their opponent. And the Niners' defense, they have to step up once again if they're going to get to the Super Bowl. I look at it like this. I know that the Rams don't really want to sell tickets to people from Northern California. I think Niner fans are going to find a way to get some tickets. They might not be as noisy as they were in week number 18 when San Fran clinched a playoff spot by beating the Rams. But I think the Niners fans will be there in force once again. And just like it is in the AFC Championship game, I think it's going to be another tight one here. This time I'm going to take San Francisco by the score of 24-23. So, folks, those are my picks for Conference Championship Sunday in the NFL. And as always, I want to take this time out to thank you for tuning into the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge podcast here on YouTube. I want to take the time out to thank all of you fine folks out there for tuning in. And if you have not already, please feel free to subscribe to this channel. Now, if you're on Twitter, please feel free to follow me at 300 Pounds of Sports. And like I always say, if you follow me, it will be my pleasure to follow you right back. There's also the sports discussion group on Facebook at the Sports Depot 365. You can check it out. Drop a line and be a part of one of the better sports debating sites going on social media. So once again, fine folks, my name is William Martin, signing off, saying take care and have yourselves a wonderful day.